Many people believe debt is evil, money is controversial, and a little economic uncertainty signals the beginning of a recession. But my next guest today says this is not always so and has come up with a new set of rules to embrace while dealing with the current state of our economy. Robert Kiyosaki, a financial education advocate as well as best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, joins us today to talk about his new book titled Conspiracy of the Rich: The 8 New Rules of Money. Robert, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for the time.
So the 8 new rules of money, this sounds very, very intriguing. When did the rules change?
Well, Conspiracy of the Rich is about how the rich took over this Federal Reserve Bank. And they changed the rules. In 1971, President Nixon took us off the gold standard. Once he did that, without permission of Congress and without permission of you and I, and at that point the Federal Reserve and the Treasury could print money uncontrollably throughout the world. So this crisis today is the U.S. dollar is toxic. It's going down in value as they print more and more of it. So that's when the rules really began to change. Again, it was 1971.
And so the rules were rewritten, and you say it's important now to understand the new rules so that we can make money in this climate. The first one you say that I thought was really interesting is that money is knowledge.
Right. Let me go back again. You know, most people say save money. Well, it's no longer money after 1971. So today, if you're saving money when bonds are paying 0 and the Fed is printing trillions, saving money is really bad advice. So, but everybody's now saving, which is the worst time to save. So you can lose, if you had bought gold in 1980, you would have lost money. You can buy real estate and lose money. You can buy stocks and lose money. So it's not the stock or the asset. It's knowledge that makes you rich or poor, because a true investor can make a lot of money when the market's up, will make more money when the market's down. For like right now, this is my best time ever, bad economies.
So the secret is you've done your research, you've done your homework, you know where you should be putting your money.
Well, it's common sense that markets don't always go up, you know, and most people buy, hold, and pray for the long term. Right. That's insanity in this volatility.
All right, so knowledge, inform yourself, and that's how you become powerful. The second rule I thought was very interesting, which is the need for speed.
Yes. Well, today you can make money at this rate of speed. Today we have 19-year-old kids, you know, like Facebook and MySpace. They're billionaires today. And old guys my age don't have anything. So, I mean, if a kid at 19 can become a billionaire and a guy like me is still trying to make 10,000, there's something wrong. So the speed of processing data, information, and business has gone up at exponential levels. So there's more opportunity today, especially if you're web savvy, you're 18 years old and know the web.
Right.
But old guy like me, I'm in trouble.
Right.
You know?
And like you said earlier, if you went into a McDonald's and asked for a burger and fries and it took too long, you'd be out the door.
Right. McDonald's, I walk in there and I say, I want a Big Mac and fries, and boom, there it is. But if I wait 5 minutes, I'm gone.
Right. Makes perfect sense. Now, you also say that it's important now that everyone learn the language of money. What is that language?
Well, in the Conspiracy of the Rich, I cover we don't have financial education in schools. The question is that an accident? Language is simply vocabulary. When somebody says it takes money to make money, that's not true. It takes words. So when I invest in real estate, I'm using a different vocabulary. When I'm in the stock market, it's different vocabulary. When I'm in commodities, it's different vocabulary.
Give me an example of some of these words.
Well, when I'm in real estate, a common term is cap rate, but in the stock market, it's called PE. And so if you don't speak the same language, it's like you and I trying to speak Japanese and Chinese.
Right.
You know, just nobody understands you. So money is very simply vocabulary, which goes back to rule number 1. Knowledge is the new money.
Absolutely. All right. Now, I want to ask you some questions about what you think about our current economic situation, because, you know, the Federal Reserve, as you said, is printing money. Is this going to help us?
Well, you have to watch the Federal Reserve. In Conspiracy of the Rich, we have to be careful right now. There was 2 kinds of depressions. First part of conspiracy is history. There was the American Depression, which was a depression, but there was a German Depression, which was hyperinflation. It looks like right now the U.S. is going for hyperinflation. So knowledge is power, knowing if you think Bernanke is going to keep printing money, you should have one strategy. If you think it's going to stop printing money, have another strategy.
So is that where your money is? The smart money is on the fact that we're going to see some inflation?
I'm betting heavily on that. And also, I like real estate because I can use debt.
Right.
And a lot of people, debt is a bad 4-letter word. But if you're smart, you can use debt as leverage to get rich.
And if, like you said, there's going to be hyperinflation, that bodes well if you own real estate.
That's correct. But also, if Bernanke raises interest rates, it crashes the stock market. So that's why knowledge is the new money. You don't just sit there, buy, hold, and pray, and hope your broker's going to call you.
Absolutely. But the stock market is slowly inching its way up. What do you think about that?
The reason it's inching its way up is because the bond market is paying zero. And so you have all of this cash. Like, there is more cash sitting on the sidelines today. It's got no place to go. So it has to go into so-called higher risk, so it's in the stock market. Unfortunately, as you know, the market was down considerably today. Volume is tapering off, and energy is going out of it. So this idea of buy, hold, and pray is a bad idea simply because, again, after 1971, Nixon took us off the gold standard. And we have to watch the games the ultra-rich are playing with money.
Right.
The 8 new rules about playing by the rules of the rich, not the poor and middle class.
That's right. We want to know what the rich are doing,
That's
right?
Correct. That's
we
correct.
want to emulate
That's
the rich. So what's your advice in this current economic situation? You're looking at hyperinflation. You're thinking that's possibly coming forward. What else are you predicting that people should keep their eye on?
Well, you have to ask yourself, if there's hyperinflation, what do I do? If there's a depression, like the FDR type thing, what do I do then? So I was a military officer in Vietnam.
So are you hedging your bets right now?
You got to play it both ways.
Right.
I said it's insane to think it always goes one direction.
Right.
Markets go up and markets come down.
Yeah.
And I think the person to watch is the Fed right now. And they're the ones that have set up this crisis because the dollar is toxic. The U.S. dollar is no longer money. It's a currency.
Right. All right.
The CEO of the world's largest retailer has a very important warning for all of us, for U.S. consumers. He says that serious inflation is indeed on the horizon, and it's going to have a very big impact on basic necessities like food and clothing. Eric Bolling, the host of Follow the Money on the Fox Business Network, joins me now to talk about this. When the CEO of Walmart is flagging, folks, we're in for some serious inflation, he's also preparing. All his costs are rising, right? So that's going to be passed on to the consumer.
Sure, and his input costs are rising, the price of corn, the price of cotton, all the input to make and retail this stuff, transport it, forget gasoline and diesel fuel to get this stuff over here. But he also says labor costs are starting to rise out of China. So he went down the list of different input costs, labor, food, et cetera, energy. The bottom line is Americans have to expect higher prices. Now, Walmart happens to be a phenomenal retailer. They have warehouses around the country. They can store stuff where it needs to be stored. They can access goods in different places. So the effect to Walmart's prices may be a little bit muted or limited, but take a mom and pop retailer. It's just strangling them. They can't. A jeans retailer, price of jeans are skyrocketing because the price of cotton's up 115% in 1 year.
Yeah, so, where does this, let's take a look. We built something that shows a comparison of just bread, for example, just to give everybody an indication of how, and you can feel it, when I go to the grocery store and it feels like it's just getting a little bit bigger, the bill every day when you're buying the same stuff you've always bought. So there's the price for white bread, $1.39 in February of 2011, and it's up 2.2%. That's a year-over-year change in bread. So that just gives
not
you
bad in bread. Take a look at corn. Corn's up 92%. Why does corn matter? Corn is in just about everything you buy. They use it for, first of all, ethanol, but in the things you eat. High fructose corn syrup is in almost every snack, almost every soda. Every single cereal you buy just has either corn or some corn-based sweetener in it. So the price of corn going up, the input costs are going up across the board. The government won't tell you this, though, Martha. You know that core inflation number that they report?
Ex-food and energy.
Ex-food and energy. Why in the world would they leave food and energy out? The two things that we use every
single day.
Because they're
volatile, Eric, and so they can't be in that indicator because they're too volatile.
The first and most important reason to have food reserves is to be prepared in case of an emergency. There are an average of 392 large-scale natural disasters a year. Add to this the possibilities of unemployment, accidents, and downturns in the economy that have 43 million Americans on food stamps, and food reserves make all kinds of sense. But food reserves are not just about you, are they? They're about you and all the people you care about. Let me illustrate my point. The price of food is continually rising. What if you found out about a grocery store that opened up in your neighborhood with prices from 10, 15, even 20 years ago? Would you shop there? Probably. What if the food was free? Would you keep it to yourself? Or would you feel inspired, even responsible to share that gift? eFoods Global can help you and your family and friends prepare for an uncertain future with our food reserves. And we can even show you how to do it for free. The more of us that are prepared, the more generous and empowered we will all be, and the safer our families will be. Now let's continue our tour by showing you what goes into making eFoods Global Reserves and why they are the right choice for you.